It's a funny phenomenon we have in corporate America right now. In the name of inclusion, capital I inclusion, we've actually created a culture of exclusion where certain points of view just aren't welcome. In the name of diversity, we have created a culture of conformity where we reject the diversity of thought and diversity of ideas in the name of capital D, diversity itself.
To get a first-hand account of that rejection, we asked those who know Disney best.
I work for Disney. I've been with Disney for 30 years.
I worked for Disney for 11 years.
16 years now.
For about 15 years.
Disney employees described to us a disillusioning and fearful workplace.
When I started with Walt Disney, we never treated anybody differently. Whether it was a guest, a cast member, I didn't care your sexual preference, your gender identity, it didn't matter because you were either working or you were a guest, and your goal as a cast member is to make the guest experience the best it can possibly be. Over the last few years, I started noticing we're having more and more trainings. How do we be inclusive? How do we include so-and-so into the group more? But it's really only targeting one group. It's not targeting every ethnicity, every gender, every race. It's targeting just the LGBTQ community.
For over half a century, Disney has operated under guiding principles that have steered the company to success. They call them the 4 keys.
The 4 keys. Safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency have guided us from the very start. These 4 keys have provided a foundation for our culture, contributing to Disney's legacy of customer service and care.
But in April of 2021, a new key was added.
The addition of a 5th key, the key of inclusion.
Well, it's very clear that the inclusive key is really about the LGBTQ community, but I think at the same time, it's not including everybody. I don't think it's including Christians or conservative people, or in my case, unvaccinated people. They're not feeling included at all. I don't feel included.
When that inclusion key came along, all of a sudden, there were rules for inclusion that if you weren't this, you're out.
We spoke to one ex-Disney employee who is also gay, but the inclusion key didn't work for him either.
I'm a born-again Christian.
He described a disturbing environment, especially over religious exemptions for COVID vaccines.
Absolutely, I was discriminated against because of my religion. Disney decided that they wanted to impose a vaccine mandate. When they imposed this mandate on employees, I put in my accommodation from that for religious purposes, and I was now being forced to disclose my religious beliefs to the company from the very beginning. That made me so uncomfortable. That should be my choice as to whether or not I want to share that with somebody. So the fact that I was now being required to disclose that in order to keep my job, I found to be very problematic.
It's exactly not inclusion. It's compliance. And that's the way I felt about it. That for all these years, from all my experiences, it had been inclusionary. And there is now, in fact, a group that is persona non grata. They really don't want that viewpoint. So it's not inclusive.
You're only celebrated as a gay man at Disney, clearly, if you have the right thoughts. You are not celebrated if you are at all conservative or if you are non-conformist in any other way. That's actually in itself a bigoted way of looking at a group of people.
That then creates a culture where non-conforming employees fear for their jobs, have to fear for putting food on the dinner table, may not get that promotion that they were competing for. So what's actually Disney doing is they're using their corporate muscle to move the cultural pendulum in a direction that actually we ostracize anyone who decides that that is not the direction they want to see Disney go.
I can tell you that I've received hundreds of emails, phone calls, and letters from Disney employees all over. People that work at ESPN, people that work here in Orlando, people that work in Disneyland, people that work in corporate who have sent me letters saying, thank you for standing up for us. We are the silent majority. I wish I had the courage to speak louder. A lot of them are afraid of losing their jobs.
With a culture of fear spreading among the ranks of many employees, Disney quickly began altering the characters, stories, and park experiences that made them a beloved brand all over the world. Feature movies, cartoons, family rides, TV shows, products, books, characters. Disney's inclusion warriors left no stone unturned.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Big changes coming to Disneyland. Disney is doing away with gendered greetings throughout the park and resort. Gone are ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls. Instead, cast members who recorded messages will use hello, everyone.
Disney's fairy godmothers in training will now be gender neutral, allowing male cast members to do the job. Disney is allowing cast members to have greater flexibility in displaying tattoos, hairstyles, and costume choices.
From introducing burly, manly fairy godmothers to tattooed, purple-haired Cinderellas, Disney was throwing out dress codes, decorum, standards, boundaries, pronouns, and genders. In other words, Walt Disney World was fast becoming Walt Disney woke.
They've dropped the term boys and girls because they're all in to this ideological leftist agenda that deconstructs the family, human sexuality, and ultimately Western civilization.
Who is being offended? Are you denying that there's such a thing as a man and woman? Your sex is assigned at birth. No. Your sex is determined by the father and the father alone. That's not right or wrong. It's nature, and it's nature's God. They know that there is such a thing as nature. And if you talk about nature as Jefferson did, then you talk about nature's God. And that's the one thing that sends chills up the spine of the folks at Disney. They don't want to recognize nature or nature's God.
So Disney was battling parents and politicians, politicizing its park experience and excluding many of its employees. But what came next was even more disturbing. Whistleblowers from inside the Disney organization leaked internal videos of top Disney executives to journalist Christopher Rufo.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so
LaToya Ravenau is a producer and writer of children's cartoons and programming for Disney. She has worked on such shows as Puppy Pals, Super Monsters, and Rise Up, Sing Out.
I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show. Proud family. But I just was no one would stop me and no one was.
Talk show host Tammy Bruce, who is gay, had this to say as a reaction.
We've fought for years to have Americans know that we are not after their children, because we're not. And yet here you have this dynamic that sets into motion this idea that children are the focus. I know lots of gay people. I know plenty of transgender people. No one likes what's going on here. No one in this country, no one on the left or the right. This is not normal, and it's unacceptable, and everyone should reject it for the sake not only of your children, but also for the civil rights gains that gays and lesbians have made in this country.